How many games would the Atlanta Falcons win in 2024? What's going on, Falcons fans? It's your boy Mayo Jones here, back with another NFL record prediction. And I'm going to give you my record prediction for the Atlanta Falcons for a 2024 NFL season. Now, the Kirk Cousins era has begun, uh, which that's exciting. I'm gonna go through my game by game by picks to see which games I think is gonna be a good matchup for Atlanta and which games I think will be a bad matchup for Atlanta. So before I give you my record prediction for the Atlanta Falcons for 2024 NFL season, put the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more option, and comment down your opinion below to see how far you think the Falcons will be. Do you think this is a year the Falcons, make the playoffs, or you think they miss out on the playoffs? Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. So as I said, the Kirk Cousins era has begun. It's a new quarterback and all that. It's gonna be something new in Atlanta, which is very interesting. Now the question is, can they get over? Can they be back in the playoffs once again? We're going to see. A lot of people are expecting Atlanta to be contenders with Kirk Cousins. So we're going to go through the schedule. So week 1, at home, the home opener, they play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is going to be an interesting game. Now I believe Atlanta is favored in this game. This is definitely a game that can go either way because most people are picking Atlanta to win because they're at home in this game and Kirk is the better quarterback than Russ. I don't think Russ is great. Both quarterbacks are kind of even in each other, in my opinion. Like they're good outside of structure. I think Kirk Cousins is more consistent. I think Atlanta's probably has a better offensive scheme than the Steelers. Now, this is an Arthur Smith revenge game because now Arthur Smith's the OC for the Steelers. But I think this game right here is going to be very close and competitive. But I understand it's in Atlanta, but I'm going to pick the Steelers. And the reason why I'm going to pick the Steelers is because Atlanta's going to be doing learning curves. They have a new coach, a new quarterback. They got new weapons. And it's going to be a new culture in Atlanta starting. So a lot of new stuff going on. And Pittsburgh, has a proven coach in Mike Tomlin, which they got the better coach. And I think the Steelers are kind of like the more desperate team, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think the Steelers are a better team. But I think they're both even, though. I think the Steelers have a better defense. I don't think the Falcons' defense is good as the Steelers, but they got a good pass rush that can really get after Kirk Cousins. And their secondary is pretty strong, which they can man up against the Falcons' weapons on offense. And I think Arthur Smith will come up with a good game plan on offense. I think Russell Wilson can do enough to throw the ball through the air. I think they'll run the ball on the Falcons' defense because I don't think the Falcons' defensive line is very good. So, yeah. So, I like the Steelers to win that game. Then week 2 against the Eagles on Monday night. This game is in Philly. I got the Eagles in this game because Eagles are a better team. They're at home. I think they got the better quarterback, and they got better coaching. And in my opinion, the Eagles, I think they just got the better defense. In my opinion, I think they're more of a talented defense because they have a really good offensive line and a good defensive line. And I think the Eagles can run the ball on the Falcons for them to have success. And Jalen Hurts is an animal. He can run. He can throw a little bit. And I think this defensive line for the Eagles is going to get pressure on Kirk Cousins and make life difficult on him. And their secondary is pretty talented, even though the Falcons are not, even though Atlanta's not, even though the Eagles are not getting against the pass, they got a pretty good talented secondary that can cover, the Falcons' receiving core. So, yeah. And I think, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, they can definitely give the Falcons secondary issues. So, I don't think the Falcons will have an answer for one of those guys. So, that's why I think Philly will win that game. But I think it will be a fun game to watch and it will be close. But I think Philly pulls it out. Then week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs on the Sunday. This will also be a fun game to watch. this is a game I can definitely see Atlanta winning because it's at home in a dome where the crowd is. But I'm gonna give lean towards the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are the better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching staff. They got the overall better roster. Like they got the better defense. Um, and I just think the Chiefs, the Falcons are not gonna have an answer for Travis Kelsey or Hollywood Brown. Or unless Rasheed Rice is playing, that'll be fine. Or Xavier Worthy. So I think Mahomes is just going to be too much for the Falcons defense, and he's going to be too much for your defense. And I think they have a good running game, which I think they'll run the ball in Atlanta. Their defense is pretty good, which I think Spags can definitely give the Falcons offense issues because he done a good job against Kirk Cousins last year when Kirk was a Viking. But I think Spags does a good job at blitzing. So I think he can blitz Kirk Cousins, make life difficult on him. And I think the Chiefs secondary, I don't think is great, but it's pretty much underrated, which I think they can but I don't think they won't be able to play as man coverage like they used to. But I think, they can just like so yeah. I think the Chiefs defense might win in this game, but it could be their offense by a touchdown. But yeah, it's in Atlanta, but the Chiefs overall got the better roster, so that's why I think the Chiefs will win. So basically, they're 0-3 right now, not looking pretty good because when you look at the first three games, it's pretty tough. Like they have to play like three teams who made the playoffs last year, and the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. But I think week 4, I think versus Saints, I think this is a chance. I think Atlanta will get their first win against the Saints because the Falcons and Saints are pretty much similar teams, and Atlanta's is at home in this game. I think they should beat the Saints, once this year. So I got them in this game. And they played in week 10, which I think they'll split. So I'm going to say the Saints, win this game in New Orleans, which New Orleans is a tough place to play at and all that. So yeah. But week 5 and week 8, they play the Bucks and nearly back to back. This is on a short week. I'm going to give the Falcons a win against Tampa because it's at home in Atlanta. I think Kirk is a better quarterback than Baker. So yeah, and then week 8 against the Bucks, I'm gonna give the Bucks a win here in Tampa because Bucks usually play the Falcons pretty hard. But in my opinion, when you look at the Saints and Bucks, I think the Bucks and Falcons are a better team than New Orleans. I think the Bucks could be the more well-rounded team. It might have the better defense. The Saints might have a better defense than the Falcons, but I think Derek Carr, I don't think he's great, but I think Kirk Cousins is better than Derek Carr. And Baker could be better than Derek Carr too. So that's how I compare them. So I think the Falcons will split with one of these. Will split with the Saints and Falcons, and I think they're pretty close to each other because last year they were both competitive of winning division. They were close to it, while the Panthers weren't. So yeah, but week 6, I think the Panthers are gonna beat the Falcons once this year because the Panthers, I think I remember last year Carolina did beat them by 2 points, which that was kind of ugly. But I think the Panthers will beat the Falcons once because Carolina sometimes attends to play the Falcons hard. Their receiving core did improve with Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson there. Their offensive lines improved. They drafted a running back and a tight end. The defense is kind of weak. I don't think it's as good as the Falcons. So I think Carolina will steal one game for the Falcons once. And then against the Seahawks, this is a tricky game, but I'm gonna come back to that one. Week 9 against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a game Atlanta could steal, but I'm leaning towards Dallas because I think Dallas is an overall better team, better coaching, and I just think the Cowboys, they pretty much have a better defense overall. Like they have a good pass rush, a good secondary, that can really man up against the Falcons receivers. I think they could get some pressure on Kirk Cousins. I mean, yeah, they can get after him. Maybe Atlanta can run the ball on them a little bit because Dallas is weak against the run at times, but I don't see it. I think the Cowboys will win this game with their defense because I think they got the better defense. And I think CeeDee Lamb, I don't think the Falcons will have an answer for CeeDee Lamb or Brandon Cooks or Jake Ferguson. I think those weapons are going to be too much for Atlanta's defense to handle. So I like Dallas to win that game here in Atlanta. Okay, then week 11 against the Broncos. Um, they should easily beat the Broncos. I mean, I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Broncos. It's going to be Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix. Like, I don't know. I mean, Atlanta's just got the better quarterback. They're a better team overall. In Denver, I view them as one of the worst teams in the NFL coming into this 2024 season. So that's why I think the Falcons win that game. Then they get a bye week. Then after the bye, they get like extra time to prepare for next week against the Chargers. This is a game that can go either way, but I'm gonna go Atlanta. I'm gonna go the Falcons here because I think the Falcons are kind of a better version of the Chargers, but I just have a feeling that Atlanta just got more weapons on offense. Like I feel like they're just more explosive than the Chargers. Like I don't think the Chargers offense has much of explosive ability right now because they don't really have a lot of receivers that can really scare you. But they have a strong offensive line. They can run the ball a little bit. But their defense is pretty good, but not great. I mean, their pass rush is fine, but they're weak against the run at times, and sometimes they're weak against the pass. So maybe Atlanta can throw on them a little bit. So yeah, it should be a fun game to watch. But I think Atlanta is going to win because they just got more weapons on offense, and especially I think they're kind of a better team than the Chargers. So yeah, Week 14 against the Vikings. This is going to be an interesting game. The game is in Minnesota, where it's a tough place to play at, but I lean towards Atlanta to win. And the reason why I think I lean towards Atlanta to win because it's a Kirk Cousins revenge game, and it's Kirk Cousins versus JJ McCarthy. Like I'm not taking JJ McCarthy over Kirk Cousins. It's like I can't do it. Like it's gonna be an emotional game for for the Falcons and the Vikings, and I think
Wash your face, honey.
yeah.
You write your calendar. You can set up a calendar. Are you talking to somebody?
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna make you a calendar the day I want you to take your shower, man. Did you take a shower?
Okay, so basically, I think the Falcons will beat the Vikings because I think Atlanta's a better team overall, and they got a better quarterback. So yeah, and the Vikings defense is very good, but it's not sound. It's very sound, but the weakness of the Vikings is their secondary, which they got the worst corner group in football. So I think the Falcons offense with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, um, Darnell Mooney is going to be too much there. So I like the Falcons. Week 15 is going to be a really good game against the Raiders in Las Vegas. This is a game the Raiders could definitely win, but I don't know. I might come back to this one, but it should be a good game. Week 16 against the Giants. Um, They should beat the Giants at home. The Giants are a bad. The Giants aren't a good team, and the Giants' defense is very good. Their receiving core outside of Malik Neighbors is not good. They don't have a good run game and not a good offensive line. A great defensive line, but not a good secondary. I think Kirk Cousins can take advantage of that, especially with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and and then and then Darnell Mooney, and then you got the Falcons do have a great secondary that can get sticky against an underwhelming receiving core, but their defensive line is not great. Maybe Raheem Morris can have a good game plan and get pressure on, but I'm not too worried about their secondary or their defensive line. I mean, as long as they crowd the box and Atlanta's explosive weapons are going to be too much for a Giants secondary to handle, and especially the Falcons have a better quarterback and they're the more complete team and at home they don't, so that's why. Week 17 against the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, that's a game I think Washington can win because, the Falcons sometimes tend to struggle with quarterbacks that can move, but I'm going Atlanta with another Kirk Cousins revenge game. I think Kirk Cousins will get his revenge in Washington. This can be another emotional game. I mean, I'm not taking Jaden Daniels over Kirk Cousins, which that's crazy. And, the Falcons got a better quarterback. They're the better team. Washington has some really good weapons on offense that can get the Falcons' defense problem. Their pass rush is good enough to get after Kirk, but I don't see it. But their secondary, I don't think is great. Like, I don't see how they cover the Falcons, especially with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Darnell Mooney being a problem. I think they can run it on at Washington. So yeah, I think Atlanta wins that game. Then last game, Panthers, they'll split with Carolina because Carolina's not going to much to play for because Panthers are not going to be a playoff team this year. Atlanta's probably going to be fighting to win the division. Who knows? And Atlanta just got the better quarterback, more complete team. They're at home. I think they got the better scheme. So yeah, better roster. I think Atlanta wins. Basically, right now I got the Falcons at 8-7-2, which that's bold. I have to decide which games I think they're gonna win, which game I think they're gonna lose. Now the Seahawks is pretty tough, and the Raiders is pretty tough. I think they're gonna win one of these games, but they could lose both, but it's pretty much unlikely. I'm gonna say they lose to the Raiders because Las Vegas is kind of a tough place to play at. I mean, the Raiders have a great defensive line that can really get after Kirk Cousins. Their O line is strong. Their running game is strong. I think they can run the ball on them a little bit. And they got some weapons on offense like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers that can really attack you. Like, they can definitely give the Falcons defense some problems. And I don't know who the quarterback is going to be. So I think the Raiders can move the ball on them. But that's a game Atlanta can definitely win. But I'm going with the Raiders here at home in Vegas in a primetime spot. And then against the Seahawks, I'm going to give the Falcons a win here at home because I think the Falcons will do enough to control the game, keep Geno on the sidelines. And both of their coaching schemes are kind of similar with Marine Morris and Mike Macdonald's scheme. I think, you know, even though Seahawks have a really good defense and good secondary, I think Atlanta can win their one-on-one matches against them. So, yeah, I think their offense can win this game. But that's a game I think Seattle can win because they just got a better defense than the Falcons, but I like Atlanta to win that game. So basically, I just decided that I got the Falcons going 9-8. I think 9-8 will be good, or 8-9 can be good enough to win a division. So yeah, I feel like 9-8 should be good enough to win the division. I mean, 3-3 in division, 7-5 in the conference, 6-3 at home, 3-5 away. I mean, that's good. So 9-8 for the Atlanta Falcons is good enough. And I feel like Atlanta should win the division. And I think they should be back in the playoffs. But like I said, when you look at the teams and their schedule that Atlanta has to play, it's very tough. They have to play the Steelers, the Eagles, the Chiefs, who also made the playoffs, last year. They even got to play the Bucks twice, who just made the playoffs last year. The Saints twice, which I think they could definitely make the playoffs, but I don't think they're good. They got to play the Seahawks. They got to play the Cowboys, who made the playoffs last year. So yeah, I mean, this is a tough schedule. So even though the NFC South is very weak, I think it's gonna be like 8 or 9 wins, given that some of them play a first place schedule and all that. So yeah, but for so in my for my decision, I just predicted that Atlanta will be will win the division and be first place in the NFC South because I think they just got the superior quarterback in the division. But their offensive weapons did improve. Offensive line is still strong. The defense, is a bit lousy, but their pass rush needs improvement. Linebacker is kind of suspect. Secondary is okay, but is a little suspect. So they got areas to improve. I think Raheem Morris can make them extremely better in year one. So yeah. So that's how I see it for the Falcons. 9-8 is my prediction. So let me know. I can definitely see the Falcons, like losing like to the Steelers. I can see them beating the Steelers or the Chiefs. I could see them sweep the Panthers or or beat the Cowboys, or they could beat the Raiders, or I can definitely see them losing to teams like you. So yeah, that's how I can see it happen. I can see them lose to Minnesota or Washington. So yeah. So 9 is what I have for at my for the Falcons. So let me know if you guys agree with me or if you disagree with me. So it's Mail Jones, big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Next video. Peace.